Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Senior Scholarships 101. My name is Angie Anthony, and I'm the Director of Scholarships for the Hillsborough Education Foundation, and I want to thank you for joining us this evening. Just a little housekeeping as we get started. We are recording this presentation, so you don't need to take frantic notes. We will be posting it to our website along with the slides in the coming week. Closed captioning is available, and there's a screenshot where you can see where you can click it on. And I just ask that everyone hold your questions for the Q&A session at the end. So hopefully we will answer almost all of your questions as we spend this hour together. And then I will, of course, answer the Q&A that we have received at that point at the end. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about our organization. Our mission is to ensure that every student in Hillsborough County receives an outstanding public education that equips them for a fulfilling future. Hillsborough Education Foundation is a nonprofit organization and a philanthropic partner to Hillsborough County Public Schools, having raised $11.2 million to support our school district during the 24-25 school year. The things we're going to cover this evening include some general criteria and eligibility for scholarships, the types of scholarships we have available, and a few examples, the application process in detail, and the award process. But first, welcome to the call. And this is either your year where you are a senior and you can't believe this year got here faster than you expected and you're planning your next steps, or you're a parent or guardian who also can't believe how fast the years went by and that your child is headed off to college soon. Either way, let's dive in to talk about scholarships. And I am not moving to the next slide. Let's go. There we go. Okay. So I want to share about last year because where we've been is an indicator also of where we're going. Last year, we were able to award nearly 400 scholarships. They ranged from $500 up to a $20,000 award and some four-year university Florida prepaid plans that we were able to issue. The total value to the students was $1.12 million, and we are hoping for pretty much the same thing this coming year. Where do we get that money from? Well, we have lots of wonderful donors. We have different categories of donors, starting with individuals and families. Perhaps they have a gift in honor of someone or in memory of someone. We hold endowments that will be awarding scholarships from in perpetuity. We have several companies that support scholarships, such as the Suncoast Credit Union, Outback Steakhouse, and we also have nonprofit organizations, several sorority alumni groups, the Kiwanis Club of Tampa, the Derek Jeter Turn 2 Foundation, and some Gasparilla crews. In all, there are over 100 named scholarships. And when I talk about named scholarships, what I mean is each of those have a different set of criteria, and there's a little something for everybody. Eligibility, big question. What does it take to be eligible? Well, we start with the Hillsborough County seniors. If you are a senior in Hillsborough County in public school, which does include charter and virtual, or you're a homeschool student or even private school, there are more opportunities for public school students. However, everybody should be applying. Every senior in Hillsborough County should be applying. Other criteria that we have, and keep in mind that I said we have over 100 different named scholarships, all with different criteria, but they fit the usual things you might expect, such as GPA, which we ask you for both, but the one that is scored upon is the unweighted. This is on your report card as the cumulative state GPA. We have funding for traditional universities, community colleges, and technical colleges, trade schools, cosmetology school, automotive programs. And that said, my next bullet point is majors. So some scholarships, it does matter what your major is, others it doesn't. Some are specific to certain high schools, and others are looking for different numbers of community service hours, work hours, or extracurricular activities, financial need, and more. So each of our over 100 scholarships may have any combination of this list and a little bit more. Something most people are interested in is how do I demonstrate financial aid? And let me start by saying that only about half of our scholarships require financial need to be demonstrated. The other half do not. So again, little something for everyone. In demonstrating financial need, what we're looking for is that the student's household qualifies for free or reduced lunch, or Medicaid, or WIC assistance, or temporary assistance for needy families, TAMF, or SNAP, nutritional assistance program, or housing assistance. You only need to provide documentation for one of these if you meet the criteria. And the only time you will be asked for it is if you have qualified for a scholarship that requires financial need. That documentation must be uploaded at the time that you apply. So next, with the next slide, I'm going to dive in a little bit further about free and reduced lunch. Something that a lot of people may not realize is we have several schools here in Hillsborough County where free or reduced lunch is provided across the entire school, regardless of the household income. So we are required to have documentation that shows that the family qualified, that the household qualified for free or reduced lunch. And that can be done through a variety of ways. One way that you can demonstrate financial need is by looking at a chart, just like what's here. This is the chart based on the number of individuals in the household and what the annual income was. This number is found on the tax form 1040. It's on line 9. So you need to match line 9 up with the number of people in the household. You can utilize your 2024 or 2025 tax return. The student's name must be included to demonstrate that they are part of the household. And you can hide the social security numbers. We don't need them. We do not ask for them in the application. So really, we only need the first couple of pages just to show us line 9 and the dependents and number of people in the household. That is one way that you can demonstrate qualification for free or reduced lunch. This slide demonstrates the next way that you can qualify, and this letter is called a direct certification letter. This letter can be obtained by the parent or guardian, and you must request it from the Hillsborough County Public Schools Student Nutritional Services. I have their phone number and email address here. And as you can see in the letter, it specifies that the student, in this particular case, was eligible based on their eligibility for Medicaid benefits. And that is shown right here, Medicaid benefits. So it does connect the dots for us and we can see what the eligibility is. This screen is demonstrating a third way that students can demonstrate financial need and free or reduced lunch qualifications. It's a scary screen, but it's really not. You're just going to get this from your school counselor. So your school counselor can obtain this. And as you can see from the arrows, it would ordinarily show you the student name here. So we can piece that together. The high school is listed. It needs to be a current year. And then under classified in the system that the schools have, under classified, they are able to see and show the free reduced meal program eligibility. So this is all separate. These three forms of being able to demonstrate it are separate from whether or not you simply get free or reduced lunch at your school. And something I want to point out about this screenshot is that they have to hover over this section to get this square to pop up. And that's what we will be looking for. That was financial need in a quick nutshell. Everything that I demonstrated to you, the screenshots, the letter, the chart, all of those are available for reference as you go through the application. So you'll have access to these slides, but also you'll have access within the application itself. So discussing scholarships, as I mentioned already, we have scholarships for students depending on which of the types of schools they may be planning to attend. We mostly have one-year scholarships. However, we have several that are multi-year scholarships, meaning they are 2 or 4 year and they renew. They all require an annual update from the student, and some are conditional, requiring the student recipient to have a certain GPA minimum for the duration of their funding. Again, our scholarships range from $500 up to $20,000. And we also have Florida prepaid plans that are issued as awards and cover the tuition and fees. This is an example of an actual scholarship that we have from the Kiwanis Club. And as you can see, it has a minimum 3.2 unweighted GPA. It also requires 75 hours community service, and it has some additional essays. Now, when we use the essay word, I know our students are cringing, but most of them are only 250 words, which is really just a large paragraph. So I know you guys have this. There is two 250 word large paragraphs that are required from every student. But occasionally we have scholarships where the donors want to know just a little bit more about the students, and so they will you will encounter extra questions. And I'm going to show you how that comes up. It only comes up for students who meet the rest of the quantifiable criteria. You can see the scholarship also requires financial need be demonstrated, and they have a preference for students that are majoring in education or early childhood preschool education development. Here's another example with really simple criteria. Simply needs to be a student from Alonzo who's planning to attend a college or university. Every senior at Alonzo should be applying. The Outback Steakhouse sponsors a scholarship that is for a student with a 3.0 unweighted GPA, and the student must be planning to go on to attend a culinary arts program. So that can be a program at a university that's for culinary arts, or it can be a trade school. Moving on to the application. So there was a time when the three scholarships that I just gave you a sneak peek about, you would have had to fill out three different applications. Not anymore. It's one application and it will be open. It's already open October 1st through January 31st of next year. We do not begin reviews until the application has closed, so you have lots of time, but use it wisely. Do not wait until the last minute, and the cutoff is 11:59 p.m. Last year, we had almost 3,600 students begin the application, but only about half finished it. I will send you reminders during the application period, but you do want to make sure you finish it. As I mentioned, it is one general application, and we use an online platform called AwardSpring. So as you work your way through all of the questions, when you submit the general application, it will filter out your answers, and I will show you some screenshots of how it's going to show you what you're eligible for. As I also mentioned, there are two required 250-word essays slash large paragraphs and additionals that are based on what you qualify for. There are four simple sections to the application. We want to know about the students. We want to know about their future plans and some household and financial information, and then, of course, some acknowledgments and authorizations. Getting to the application is easy enough to do. You can head to our website and then go to our senior scholarship page. This is the direct link, or you can use the QR code that you see here on the screen. Once you're on the senior scholarship page, you just want to scroll down to where there's a little box that indicates that you can click here to apply. After you hit that apply button from our website, you're going to transition to a screen that looks just like this. You're going to either click on sign in or register, and you would obviously register your first time, but if you're returning, because you can start and stop your work on the application, then you would use the sign in feature. Please do not use an district email address because it does not allow any outside email. We are not an HCPS domain, so we will not be able to reach you, and that is our primary method of communication. So students need to be the ones who register, not parent names, because all of that gets carried forward. And do not use the HCPS email address. If you don't have one, an email of your own, or you would like something separate to use, there are lots of free email forums out there. When you get logged in, you're going to land on the dashboard. And to show you some navigation here, you've landed on the dashboard and it's telling you that your application needs to be filled out. That's what you have to do at this point. You can get there from three different ways. You can click apply, application, apply, or complete. You then will see a screen that looks like this. Now you see those sections that I mentioned to you, and these are clickable. You'll be able to scroll down throughout this application, and then when you get to the bottom of the student information section, you're going to click next step. It'll take you to the next section. The screen, as you work through it, and these little tabs for each of the section are going to let you know where you're at as far as your progress is concerned. If you've completed that section, it's going to say complete. If you're still in progress, it's going to say in progress. When you have completed all four sections, it's going to look like this. It's going to tell you everything is complete. You are then going to click Submit Application. Once you do this, your general application is completed. However, you can return at any time to make adjustments to your application. If you get a higher SAT or ACT score, or your GPA goes up, you want to come back here and update it. And once you do that, you then are going to transition back to the dashboard. So see, we are back on the dashboard, and it's now going to tell you about the extra work you have to do. And as you can see in this example, this person has 12 extra items to do. So what's happened here is Miss Chloe has qualified for 12 scholarships that have additional tasks. They may be as simple as she needs to upload the financial need documentation. And once that is done one time, it will upload across all of the questions, but you still have to come in and pop into each one and just hit submit within them. And I'll show you that in a moment. Other things that may be additional work here that needs to get done are extra essays or letters of recommendation. If it's an essay, it's going to look something like this. And this is the submit application button that I was mentioning. So it's not lit up here because there's nothing written, so it knows it's not done. and it expects there to be some additional writing. And you will need to do that for each one of these that you have extra work for. Your dashboard is going to tell you when everything is done. So do not pay attention to applications submitted. Pay attention to this. Thank you. Nothing left to complete. Those are the students who got everything done. And let me tell you, a lot of students skip the extra work and they are leaving money on the table. So what happens after that? There's nothing left to do. Well, you can take a peek at this scholarships tab right underneath the dashboard, and you can see all of your different statuses. It's going to show you things like which ones you applied for, which is an example here, the Andrew Lubrano scholarship applied. There may not have been extra work for that to be done, for that scholarship. But in this particular case, this person hasn't finished everything and popped over to the scholarships tab. And you can see again, it's reminding the person that they have extra work to do. You can also see the scholarships that the student has not qualified for. So they're basically at the point that the application, the general application has been submitted. There are three statuses that you will see on this tab, and you can see every single scholarship. If you click on one, oh, I took that slide away. I apologize. But if you click on one of these, you're actually going to see the description that frankly is over here. You'll see the description about the scholarship and what its criteria are. That's the application. So let's move on to how the reviews are done. We have different groups of people. We basically have a large army of volunteers. We have donors and independent reviewers. So each application is reviewed by a minimum of 3 independent reviewers. They all have signed a conflict of interest, and there is information that we do not share with them, which is the student name, contact information, financial need status, anything that has been uploaded about financial need, nobody but me sees. Race and ethnicity and gender is not demonstrated is not shown to the reviewers. What are they grading on? They're looking at the unweighted GPA. They are looking at extracurricular activities and leadership abilities, capabilities that are demonstrated, community service hours, content of the essays, and yes, grammar and spelling count. And they also give credit for employment hours. Excuse me. Turning our attention to awards. So once we begin the awards, which does happen, we typically start about the mid to end of March doing some notifications, and the reviews are usually completed by then. We spend all of the month of February actually doing reviews and move into the notifications mid to late March, and that runs into April as well. But you're going to see that the statuses are going to start changing. So you can see here for the Arthur H. Henderson Memorial Kiwanis Scholarship, the student was awarded a $2,500 award. So that's going to be the new category, and you will also see denied. So scholarships that they had qualified for and applied for, as they are awarded, the status will change to awarded. If they are not awarded, the status will change to denied. And the award amounts, as you can see, will display. Almost all of our students are notified by mid-April. So I would say hold off on wondering if you've been selected until mid-April. You'll get an email that's from me via the award spring system, but you can always check your dashboard, which um, your dashboard will tell you if there is an award, but also this screen that I was just showing you for the scholarships will show you. So you can check those to know what your status is as well. Students that are awarded are given until February 28th of the following year to claim their first year's funds. If it's a multi-year, they claim as the years go on. To claim your funds, you need to obtain a document that shows us that you are enrolled, truly enrolled in college. And we go over those forms, the ways that a student can demonstrate that once they're awarded. There's an information release form that we ask for. It's completely up to the student. There is no obligation, but we like to do social media and press releases and brag on our students. And we also ask the student recipient to write a thank you letter to their donor. The check is then sent directly to the school, so it does not go to the student. It goes straight to the school for them to apply to your account. And most of the scholarships allow for the funding to be used for tuition, books, fees, housing, and meal plans. And again, the claim needs to be done. You've got almost a year, February 28th of 27. So I've put together some helpful hints, just areas that I have seen students stumble with in the past. And I will start with read the instructions on the first page of the application and read your questions thoroughly. We're asking for the unweighted GPA. This is your cumulative state GPA. This is frequently switched by the students. Review your answer choices carefully. If you've got multiple things that you can select, then you need to select them all. So I particularly point this out as it relates to the extracurricular activities. It's a drop down, and you will click on each of them that you participate or have in the past. There are two separate questions about that. And when you're doing that, it's actually adding you to buckets, so to speak. It's qualifying you for certain scholarships. I have a scholarship that's for male students who play basketball. So if you don't click basketball as one of your sports, you're not going to qualify. Make sure that you're answering the essay questions for what they are asking you. And also make sure you do those follow-ups that are there. Stay on topic. Be mindful of the word count. There are a lot of scoring points that are tied to the essays. So this is your time to shine. And be aware that spelling and grammar count. Again, there's points attached to it. I always recommend that you write it in Word or something like that, run a spell and grammar check, and then copy and paste it into the actual application. Do not wait until the last minute. Remember how I showed you that follow-up work and how Miss Chloe in my example had 12 to do. That is an awful lot to get done at 11:30 on the night of the deadline. So do not wait until the last minute. You won't know how many you're going to have until you've gone through the general application. And don't forget to submit. Hit the submit application button. So let's go over some important dates. We've already passed the first one, October 1st. That application is live and open through January 31st of next year. If you get bogged down this year in school, I strongly suggest you work on it over winter break. And then mid-April to the beginning of May are really the last dates that we are doing notifications. So I am going to share some words from other students that have been submitted in thank yous while I take a look at some of the submitted questions that we've had. So I'm going to go to the Q&A first. I see we've got a couple questions there. Um, Topics for the essays. They are about the students themselves. So when you get in there, you can see the questions and you've got lots of time to complete them. I don't have them memorized. I apologize, but we're always asking about the student. Where in the application system does the student submit their community service and employment hours? What are the documents to prove these hours? So they're just questions in the application. They're under the student information, the very first tab, and we are not requiring documentation at this time. Do we need to submit a transcript to show your GPA? Excellent question. So the answer to that one is that we will verify directly with the school district. So we'll get them, we'll get your GPAs that way. All right, I'm headed to the chat now and I see, do all of the scholarships available through HEF have a financial need requirement or are some available regardless of financial need? The answer to that is the latter. About half of our over 100 scholarships require financial need and about half do not. The next question is someone's asking where the recording will be. It will be posted to our website on the educationfoundation.com/senior scholarships page. That should be posted within the next week, I would say. We're also, you should receive an email afterward after this. So whether she participated or not, she should get that link. Are there separate essay prompts for each scholarship? Not for every single one, but there are several extra essays that where the donors have requested more information. And then I see a question for divorced parents, does the student only input income information for the parent who claims them on their tax return? Yes and no. So we're not looking at the income. We're looking at and when we're back in the slides, actually I think I will go ahead and just scroll back to financial need. There are different ways of demonstrating financial need. So it is not solely based on income, the household income. If you are only trying to qualify for financial need based on free or reduced lunch, the tax form is one of those qualifiers. But if the student has Medicaid, it doesn't matter where they live, and you wouldn't be submitting a 1040. So I hope that makes sense. If it does not, feel free to add some more questions. We still have time, and or reach out to me separately, and we can discuss your own situation individually. Next question. For some of the questions, such as post-secondary school choice and study field major, you're able to select other and provide another answer. For this section, we are able to list multiple different schools or careers that couldn't be found on the list, or should we only list one? I'm not certain exactly what this question is asking, but let me answer in a way of what I think you're asking. So, obviously, we can't have a list of every school under the sun that the students could go to. So in those cases, yes, please select other, and then another field will open that will allow you to enter the school that the student is going to. However, make sure the school, and the same concept is applicable for majors. Make sure it is not already on the list, because when you're selecting things from a specific drop-down list or check boxes, those are triggering qualifications for certain of the scholarships. In regard to majors, I'll take my answer a little further. If they are majoring, let's say the student wants to be a neonatologist. I don't have neonatology as a major, but I have healthcare. Make sure you've selected healthcare. Try to make sure that if the broader category for the major is there, that you pick that and then you also select other and put the specifics. If you have other questions about that, again, feel free to add into the chat. Um, I would track, I'm sorry, the next question asks about tracking community service hours over 100. Yes, I would track them over 100 because I have at least one scholarship that's looking for 500 hours. And hopefully these aren't the only scholarships that your student is applying for. So there may be others that have high numbers as well. Does the student need to be a senior or 18 years old to apply, or can they in their junior year? They should be seniors. They do not have to be 18 years old, but they need to be graduating or have enough credits that they will be graduating as a senior in May of 2026. So every once in a while, I run across a junior who's technically a junior, but they are graduating in May of 2026. That qualifies. What counts as community service? That is a big question. So most students are already working on their community service and have been through high school. There are any number of organizations that work with students to obtain their hours. Next question, are these scholarships available for homeschool graduates? Um, if they've already graduated, no. But if they are a senior level homeschool student whose graduation year is 2026, May of 2026, then yes, I do have some scholarships for homeschool graduates of 2026 that are also in Hillsborough County. Do I have to qualify for FAFSA to qualify for these scholarships? No, we do not ask for any FAFSA information in relationship to this. The next question is, what if a student is undecided about their major? We do have undecided as a choice, and we have many scholarships that are not looking for a specific major. So, again, I will say every single senior needs to be applying. Every senior in Hillsborough County needs to be applying for these scholarships. I would not, I ended up back here. I would uh, not have them apply for any reason like that. And I am trying to get back to see, oh my, I see a whole lot of questions now. Okay, more questions. Let's see. I'm gonna scroll through some of these because some have been answered. Can you be awarded more than one scholarship? Yes. Do we send our current GPA? Yes, you would enter in your most recent GPA from your report card. The state cumulative GPA is the one we're looking at, but we do look at both. Um, if your GPA goes up in a report card before the application closes, you are welcome to apply to update your application. Um, the recording of the session and slides will be posted on our website. So somebody had a question about that. And what year tax return will you go off of? We're looking for your 24 or 25. It depends on when you apply. So 25, we're in 25. So if you I would say the latest that you should be submitting is the 24, the 104024. Someone wrote, does the application, I think they're saying ask for the home address. Yes. If the scholarship is awarded to you, you have to show proof of the money being used on tuition, books, or living expenses. No, but the funding goes straight to the college, the school, whichever school that you're going to be attending. So they will be essentially verifying your expenses. Um, I see another question about the child's address, and I just want to say again that we will ask for the address, but the reviewers do not see this. Um, I see it, our staff here at HEF may see it, and we do tend to release the information to the donors. A lot of times we have donors that follow up with students. So if anybody has an issue with that, you can reach out to me directly. Are all of the scholarships only for schools in Florida? If a student wants to go out of state, should they still apply? Great question. And yes, they should still apply. Is citizenship required to apply? It is not required to apply. However, I have a handful of scholarships that the student must be a citizen, and you will be asked a question about that. You will not be asked for documentation. However, if the student is awarded a Florida prepaid plan, then the Social Security number will be required. In order for us to issue that, we have to give a Social Security number to the state who issues the plans. And uh, I was going to say something else and I lost it. Um, Someone asked if they can apply for multiple scholarships. By nature of filling out our application, you already are. And I see questions about what if you're unsure about what you want to major in. That's okay. There are some scholarships that are asking for specific majors, but there are lots that aren't. If a student is pursuing an undergraduate degree overseas, can they use the scholarships overseas? It depends on which one they are awarded. So um, all of these conditions, like needing to provide your social security number or majoring in something specific, or if you can only attend a certain school or schools in the state of Florida, it is stated in the scholarship description. Are most of the scholarships for just 1 year or are they for all years of college? I would say the majority are just for 1 year. However, we have an awful lot that are for multiple years. If a student has a job, are volunteer hours required? We accept both hours. So, with the exception of there are scholarships that are specifically asking for volunteer hours, certainly there are lots of opportunities for students with work hours. Does having a high GPA give a student a better chance? Yes, but I say that balanced with you could have a lower GPA and lots of community service hours and check off a lot of different boxes in different ways. So there's no one factor that looks that makes the difference, makes or breaks the difference. It's the whole. I kind of already answered that one. And are the scholarships eligible for displacement or are they stackable? For us, they are stackable. However, the school that the student is attending, if the school uh, exercises the practice known as displacement, we specifically tell the schools in the with the a letter that goes with the checks that displacement is not allowed. So we would expect those funds returned to us so that they could be reissued to a school, a student who can actually use them. And I don't know if we're talking about the same type of displacement. So again, this is Gabrielle has asked this question. If you want to follow up with me, feel free. I'd be happy to talk through it with you. Suncoast Credit Union has their own scholarship link. Should I disregard the link and use this portal? I think that their link brings you to our portal. Next question, for the Florida prepaid plans, is that something that's considered with only the submission of the general application, or is it one of the tasks? Um, I'm not sure offhand. It depends on the scholarship, probably, but I would hope that you're going to do the tasks too. If you already have a Florida prepaid plan, can you be given another plan? Yes. Let's see here. If awarded, how does it know to put those funds in the school's portal? The students that are awarded, we will send you a notification and we'll tell you what those steps are that you need to do because you're not done at that point. There's things that we need, as we went over in the webinar, before we can issue the funding. How will I know what the criteria for other scholarships are if I'm only completing one application? As we showed in the webinar, there's a page, a tab for scholarships, and you can click on each of them. But honestly, I wouldn't waste my time doing that. I would spend my time working on the application and let it tell me what I'm qualified for, rather than trying to read through it and risking having missed something. If a student receives a full ride scholarship from the college, do they still qualify for the scholarship? We have many different scholarships. However, I would say if you've got a full ride, the likelihood is that the school will do that practice that I mentioned called displacement, and the funds should come back to us. That would be what typically would happen. And if I decide to join the Air Force Reserves and they pay for my tuition, what would happen to the scholarship money? I would wonder if they're paying for everything. So are they just paying for tuition because going to college has a lot of other fees? Books are very expensive. There's a lot of other expenses that you'll have. So chances are you would want to use the funding for that. And I think I'm at the bottom. I'm going to pop back over. I think we've got all those questions answered. If I have missed anything, please, my information is here. Feel free to reach out. I would be happy to discuss anybody's personal situation with you directly. I see another question about, are they only financially based? No, about half are financial based and about half are not. So I hope that you have gotten a lot of information this evening. I know it was a lot that I shared, but I'm available if you have questions. And a lot of answers are contained within the application as well. I've tried to build it in such a way that it's helping you as you go. But do reach out if you have any questions. Again, we will be posting the slides and a recording of this, which will contain the questions and answers for you afterward on our website within the next week or so. Thank you, and I hope you all have a good evening.